Hi everybody, hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to more Esports Talk. An interview today with a former Red Reserve CEO, now going to be an active member in the new relaunch of Orbit GG. What his role might be there, we have no idea. I got to sit down with Patrik Andersson to discuss his side of the story of all the accusations against the old Red Reserve. Now, for all of you guys who are unaware of those accusations, we have several videos here on the channel about those, mostly unpaid payments to several players out there. Now, as a former CEO there, he discusses his side of things, which a lot of people, in my opinion, did not know about. I'm not going to give my opinions on this piece, only show you guys the full interview, but I can guarantee you more videos will come of this, including some clips about my explanation of the entire Red Reserve situation. So I hope you guys all enjoy. I will try my best to try and timestamp some things down below for all of you, or if you want to give it the entire thing a listen, it's a very intriguing story about the downfall of Red Reserve, brought to us by their former CEO, Patrik Andersson. Also, huge thanks to them for reaching out for the interview, but I hope you guys all enjoy. Because I think people are very interested in the fact of what Orbit, how they came around compared to Red Reserve. But I think, I don't mean to misconstrue your thoughts here, but I don't think a lot of the allegations are worried about Orbit owing the money. I think we've seen a few tweets of people who think Orbit should pay the money because their same management from Red Reserve, now a part of Orbit, and they maybe blame some of those management for the mistakes in the past.
But I mean, you are a reporter, and I'm guessing you have some kind of clue how a company works. I mean,
I would like to think so.
And then you understand that a lot of business goes bankruptcy every day in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, and this doesn't mean that it's how do I explain in a good way? It doesn't mean that people are like you say, old management or owing players money, because it doesn't work that way. You know that as well as I do. It's just unfortunately that people behind the scene decide to do different things and doesn't want to be involved when maybe they don't believe in the idea of esport or whatever it can be. You can have a candy store and it goes to shit, and then you put it in bankruptcy. It doesn't mean that, oh my God, now you're going to pay everybody back, because it doesn't work like that. I wish it did. I lost everything in this. I lost all my money. I got so many allegations against me that is so not true. I lost everything. I lost my house. I lost my job. I lost everything. And on top of that, that is not even included. But that is probably the most heartbreaking for me, is that in this I also lost my family, and people have used that to something bad, and telling that I said that you won't get your money because I'm divorcing my wife. It's not even true. I told one of the players that I'm not going to be able to reply as fast as I usually do, because I have going through a rough time with my wife. And, use that into something bad. This is why I feel like I didn't bother to reply on this. I'm a CEO that, that has a board on top of me that actually says, okay, we're going to go this way, and we're going to do this way, and we're going to go this way. I make suggestions on that, and then they say, okay, this is what we want to do. I have so many times been in fights with them, letting players go. I was the one who was pushing the board to sign the contracts that saying, if you don't pay, we have to let them go. That took a lot of persuasion and a lot of I have to do a lot of things to convince them that is the right way to go about it. We had a fundraising that was supposed to come in that they changed in the last second, which means that I'm the one who's looking like an idiot, not them, because they can hide behind everything. But I'm standing there with people saying and think they know how a company, you have to pay the players. But I'm not an owner. I'm a guy who's running this. I don't have a single share in none of the companies. Still, I put in all my money into this. I lost them. I mean, in a way, I feel maybe people should read how a company works And I feel so bad for the players, and I hope that the players that I've been working for me in Orbit and in Red, they know I care a lot, and I'm not that kind of guy. You don't put your own money into something you don't own, but I did it anyway because of the passion for esport and the passion for the players. Uh, I paid for the house. I mean, you spoke about the house, and also that is so unfair because I told them you have to move out, and they said now, like no, that's no, not now, but you know it's coming because we're not able to pay it. There's nobody who said like get the out of the house. There's nothing like that. It's just that I paid for the house the previous month, and I couldn't keep paying it because nobody else wanted to pay. And that is what I'm gonna. And then I'm gonna hear that I'm telling them to get the fuck out of the house, blah blah blah. Even when we start struggling, I send them to Hollywood Hills just like you know a gesture because we were late with payment. All those stuff I had to push through, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm not here to tell people, oh, you're all wrong, because I'm not like that. I'm not going to fight with 15-year-olds. I'm not going to do that. People who knows how companies works, they know there's a board that knows, especially when it's stock exchange. It's a lot of different things that goes into it, and it's unfair that people lose their money. But the players has to understand that they weren't the only one who was losing money. I was also losing money. I lost my job. I'm still not out of it. I'm still paying debt because of this. It's sad. I feel very crushed. Not only as my passion for esports actually went away, and I felt crushed as a human being. Like it's hard to understand when people throw allegations at you and you know it's not true. You haven't done anything wrong because it's not your company. It's not my company. I cannot do anything. I'm stuck. I don't own anything. I didn't have any more money to give them. And then again, the board should have, pulled the plug way. But that's their decision, not my decision. I can only say, okay, let's try to keep fighting. And I have to believe what they say.
I think when it comes to this kind of thing, people place a lot of their allegations and blame towards the CEO, and that would be you in your case for Red Reserve because you hadn't come forth about this. And I think I speak for a large majority of people out there. I had no idea that you had put that much in it and had lost this much from it. And to that extent, I wish you would have come out earlier because I ask you this question. If you're a player and you feel, whether it be an accusation or allegation, you feel you're owed whatever the amount of money might be from former Red Reserve, who are they to blame if you don't tell them that it's not
they know.
yours?
They know, but the thing is, they knew, especially the COD team. They knew because they tried to get a meeting with the board. The board actually declined having a meeting with them.
And you keep referencing this board, that being the former board of Red Reserve.
Yeah, Red Reserve Entertainment, they were 100% owners of Red Reserve AB.
And so, would you think it'd be fair to say then that fault should fall on the board, and that when it comes time for maybe a player wanting to be owed, is that who they should be targeting, not a guy like you?
They can target whoever they want. Again, I don't go into fights with people who doesn't understand the how it works. With that said, it's shit that everybody is owed money. It's up, but like I said, it's not only them who lost money. And the thing is this: I'm not a rich guy, but I lost everything I had, and I own my house, everything. I have nothing left, and debt up to my I don't know. I don't even know how to. Like, I'm just trying to get by. That's it. And if they want to throw allegations, fair. They can do it. They can do it to me but people that actually wants to understand, because it's easy because I'm the face they always talk to. I'm the guy who they always talk to. So it's easy to throw it at me, and it's fine. I don't like. like this is why I didn't go out, because okay, if you want to throw allegations, if you want to throw me under the bus, do it, because I thought maybe I had some better connection with some other players, but I didn't. The last thing I heard was that the players actually didn't sign any red reserve contracts, which is so stupid, because I went into my computer and found, several contracts with players getting a pay raise and blah 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 in red reserve. I don't understand why. You can throw allegations, but please try to keep it as close as to the truth as possible. And using probably the hardest time in my life, losing my wife, and my house and everything, into something that is not true. Like I never said like, oh, I'm gonna post a paycheck tomorrow. We A lot of times, I get, okay, we're gonna pay now, and then we try to pay it as soon as possible. Sometimes we were late, but we really, really, really tried. At least I did. I cannot speak for the others, because I'm myself. I cannot speak for any other like people, because I don't know how they think. The only thing I know is that I tried my hardest to help the players, especially when I knew, stuff. Okay, this is not going to work. We need to get them out of the contracts. We need to, try to let them go, blah blah blah. And that's pretty much it. Like, but I cannot understand why people try to use things in a bad way when they know it's not true. I never told nobody like, oh, I'm going to pay the paycheck, and but it's going to take a while because me and my wife are divorcing. Those two things are separate things. Now I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old. I have 3 kids. I can separate that. I don't need to bend the truth on that, because maybe it's experience, and maybe you can separate things in a different way when you are a little bit older. You lived a little bit. But I would never ever, throw someone under the bus saying things that is not true, especially when it's very, very personal. I don't go to everybody and say, listen, I'm divorced. My wife is divorcing me, blah blah blah. That's something very, very like personal that I told a player, and they used that to get back on me for things I couldn't like. Without me, they would probably try to keep them. Instead, I got them out from the contract, especially when we talk about the COD players. Same with this with the house. It makes me sad. I'm not mad. I've never been mad. I've just been sad, because paying from my own pocket just to make sure they can live another month, saying like, now this is it. You're gonna have to move out, and they say right now. I said no, not right now, but in a few days, because they won't pay anymore, and I couldn't pay more. Then go out on Twitter and say that I go into a chat and say, get the fuck out of here. I would never say that. Never ever. It makes no sense.
So, Patrik, for anyone who were to listen, obviously, from your own words, you have lost just as much, if not more, than a lot of the players who are blaming Red Reserve and their old board for this.
But they're in the rights to blame Red Reserve for not paying up. But
you feel you should not be the one to be blamed.
No, they can blame me as well if they want to. If they feel like, yeah, we want to, but keep it to the truth. Like don't try to bend it into something super bad. Okay. Like even like if we take when we acquired Red Reserve from the beginning, we had a discussions with the former Red, and we got 51%, which I was very, I told them, you're gonna lose the grip on Red Reserve, because 51% goes over to my owners. And are you sure you want to do this? But nobody wants to talk about that, and people say, oh, they killed Red, blah blah blah. But in the sense, they killed it themselves when they gave away 51% of the company. In a way, it was not a company, because it was just a loose structure. We put the structure with the company and stuff like around it, and again, you have people with money behind that want to go their way, and in the end, I have to listen to what they want to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we've seen this time and time again in esports. And so I think the most important question, at least when it comes to an explanation, how did this unravel? Obviously, Red Reserve at one point in time had so many creators, so many players. They seem to be pretty promising direction wise. How did it fall apart? I don't think anyone ever got an explanation. Obviously, you were CEO, but there was a board behind making all the choices. If you were to describe how it all fell apart and how all of these players are now, they feel they are owed what they never got, how did it fall apart?
I think it's just a matter of money. Like money didn't come in as fast as we thought it should,
Were you
and
guys banking on sponsorships or in forms of
no,
investment or
it was investments and investment before everything really fell apart. We were to do an investment round that the board promised, and they backed out from that and said we don't want to do this anymore, and just put the company into bankruptcy.
just that fast?
Just that fast. And I'm guessing there are some emails when people saying like let's try to close it, like let's tell players before we go, and they didn't want to sell it. But that's I it's very hard to um, it's very hard for me to know how they think, because I was I thought that the investment round was a sure thing, which I told the players like, yeah, we're going to make an investment round. I think it's going to be good, blah blah blah, and then they back out, and that's not a decision that I make. It's a decision that the board makes. So I'm the one who's looking like a liar, because I'm saying like, yeah, we're going to make an investment round. It's going to be great. We're going to do. Even Dave, I know when Davey came in, I told him the same, like, yeah, we're going to make an investment round. It's going to play this safe again, blah blah blah, and that never happened. And I stand there alone.
So would you say you guys overextended on signing people and putting people into contracts dependent upon investment,
No,
and that
no,
investment just didn't happen?
no, no. And, like we didn't sign anybody in a long, long time. It was just the fact that they backed out when they shouldn't back out. And why I cannot answer, because like again, I'm not the board. I'm not those person. I can only speak for myself. Uh, you have to understand that esports for me is a passion. Everybody who knows me a little bit knows how passionate I was about esport, and how what it meant to me, having the teams that I had, and everything around it. um, so for me it was obviously a disaster, not only losing my job, but it's a disappointment, because we were really really close on getting over the hill. So obviously it's sad. It saddens me, and in a way it's very hard to describe. But if I compare it to the things that I saw people was writing about me, I cannot even compare it, because it's so out of context, and it's so I would say it's in a way it's cruel, and it's easy for people to sit on the in the outside, say, oh, you're gonna do this and pay the players, blah blah blah. Have no idea how it works, and nothing like that. Nobody wished this. I can tell you that. If you start a company, you don't wish for it to go to bankruptcy. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants that. That's the last thing you want. But if you but if you say you want to make an investment round, and you say no, we don't want to do it, and then 2 months later you make that investment round, and you burn those money again, like Register Entertainment did before they changed the name, well, then you have a plan with it, don't you? But you don't want to share that plan with everybody.
Is
That's a
there
plan.
is there a
Yeah.
figure you have that you lost in all of this? Is there a number?
Overall,
Yeah.
maybe 60 70K.
I think that's some people would like to know? You know, your own personal investment that you will never see yourself.
Well, maybe I invested like 30, 35, 40K. Then, obviously I lost my house, who was worth a bit. I lost my car because I had to pay debt on credit cards that I used in my
Sounds
private.
like you lost more than just monetary things as well throughout the whole ordeal.
I did, but again, like I said all the time, like if they want to blame me, okay, blame me, but blame me in the right way. Like blame me for things I could have done better, but don't put things in like that has nothing to do with it.
Patrik, who do you blame? Do you blame anyone?
I
Because I'm curious because if there is a board or a group or anyone that you blame, where are they now?
they're sitting and eating fish and chips. I don't know what they're doing, but they still working on register. I think they changed name or something.
I'm just very curious because we see this, we've seen it, and we don't often see people attached to these kind of organizations like yourself return in any way. And I think it's a very interesting perspective to see that you're saying you didn't have any ownership in the former Red Reserve.
No.
So it's very odd to me that a mysterious group out there who did make all the decisions, they had majority ownership, are now gone, and they are likely the ones what you make it seem to be to blame for all of this, and no one knows where they are. And so if what you've told me is, I assume, the truth, it seems all the more sucky that you have become the face of the former Red Reserve because you are here, and the people that are supposed to be blamed are just gone.
I think, as a public company, you have to understand there's a lot of owners. You have, your minority owners, you have bigger owners. There, it's not like you have LLC, right? Maybe we have 2-3 guys and they own like, half. And they are the only one. Here you have like 150, 200 different persons who buy shares. And then you have a board who is there for the shareholders, which means that they're going to protect their investment. So it's a little bit different. And then you can bear in mind, even if we had 300 owners, I didn't have a single share.
So to clear it up, maybe even lastly on this, had Red Reserve opened several forms or several rounds of investment and then just one fell through towards the end? So they had opened up for investment a few times before then, or a couple times before then, if they had said so many owners?
I think we made one.
One round and then one round fell through is what you would assume?
Yeah, I would say. Because Red Reserve was sold in so many different, like I said, first Orbit had it. Then Orbit sold it to Bankrupt, and Orbit still held some shares in that company, but then Bankrupt sold it to Red Reserve Entertainment. So the attachment of Orbit and Red Reserve is not there in a million years. Like there's no attachment whatsoever.
So Orbit, the relaunched organization, they formerly had shares in Red Reserve Entertainment. Those are no more?
No, not in Red Reserve Entertainment, in Red Reserve AB. And then...
Could you explain the difference between the two?
The difference is that Red Reserve Entertainment is the mother company of Red Reserve AB. So the Red Reserve Entertainment was the mother company on the stock exchange.
Okay.
And they had 100% ownership of Red Reserve AB.
So I guess, with all of that being said, then let's describe Orbit. With everything you've told me, at least in my eyes, cleared yourself. You are the face of Red Reserve, but you weren't the one making the choices and having to break all that bad news to people. So tell us about Orbit then. Why come back in the form of Orbit? What are your connections to them in the past, and what do you guys want to do for the future?
Thing is, to be honest, I let the other guys do a lot of things because I'm still very iffy. I want to find my passion for esport again. I knew it would be very hard, and I believe in the guys. That they can do something good. I think it's a good brand. It has a good reputation. Never done anything wrong. I mean, we had the Smite incident. which we cleared up very well, with the players that where they felt like, oh, there's something wrong here, but there was no wrong. Even the captain of the team did a public video about this. I think Orbit has treated their players in a very, very good manner, and that's the way I hope people will reflect on Orbit. Putting Red Reserve into that mix is just, it makes me wonder why people even go out and try to make a statement. It's like, people fishing for likes instead of, getting to the truth of it, and like, okay, maybe there is no attachment, maybe, well, there is some former Red Reserve, but management is not to be blamed in any decision.
I would completely agree. I've heard even from players themselves, formerly of Red Reserve, that they had no general issues with a far majority of the management. It was actually the upper people that they had the issues with, but the far majority of management that you guys had, they actually did have a good time with.
Yeah, that then you maybe understand how it saddens me to hear like people. This is what I mean with people try to fish after likes to be, try to be relevant without even, really put some thoughts behind their tweet or whatever they want to do. Like if they want to post on Reddit or whatever, put some actual like thought, before putting it out, to say, blaming management. In what world has the management with a bankruptcy to do? I mean, they are, yeah.
From an outside perspective, people see these days in esports, we typically attach a CEO with some form of ownership. And so I think people, obviously, they see you're the CEO formally, and so they assume you had some form of ownership, and therefore they immediately, all the debt or owed payments, people just kind of connect to you and attach to you.
In Sweden, it works like this, and it's very heartbreaking. So if you are CEO for a company, which I am for Red Reserve, all blame puts on me. So in bankruptcy, it's my fault, not the owners. It's the CEO. So
so when Red Reserve
went to bankruptcy,
or went into bankruptcy,
they just put it on me. Say, it's your fault. We have nothing to do with this.
So you actually went bankrupt.
Yeah, they left me there. They had a plan to do this. They jumped up from like every company has a board, and in Red Reserve AB, it was me and Olav, who was head of CEO for the whole mother company, but he jumped ship without saying because they had a plan to put me in this position. So I was solely alone, responsible for this. So I had to clean everything up, and I was the one who had to go to all the meetings and explain everything. And when I had nothing, like papers are signed by me, but also by the board, chairman of the board, and even the CEO of the mother company. But they twisted it so they are free from everything. But the truth is, it's not there. Like everybody who knows how a company works in Sweden knows that this is a very complex kind of thing, where it's easy to protect yourself. And I was, esport guy, never been in a company before, didn't understand I didn't understand how much responsibility you have when these things comes into play, especially when you own, like you have an owner who owns 100% of you, and then all of a sudden they can just pull the plug and say, we don't want nothing to do with this, and say bye bye. It's a very heartbreaking thing when you trust someone and you've been sitting and making plans with, and then all of a sudden they decide that they don't want to have anything to do with it. Like we had teams that wanted to have meetings with the board, and the board declined. They didn't even respond to it. There is a guy that they threw out from the board who didn't agree with them, and just because he shouldn't have, insight of what they were planning, they kicked him out. In a way, you're actually not allowed to do in Sweden, but they did it anyway. There's a lot of stuff that is behind the scenes that it's very, very hard for me to explain, and because it's laws and stuff like that goes into it. But in the end, they put me into bankruptcy thanks to this.
Going forward, what will your position be at Orbit, and what are you going to do to avoid a circumstance like this from happening again?
I will surround myself with people that I trust. Like I said, I'm trying to find my passion for esport again, which I don't really have at the moment. Not only because it's hard, I'm now alone. I have 3 kids to take care of. Trying to clean up, my old life. So a lot of time goes to that. And sometimes I go into small depressions where I don't really feel like maybe, I want to do so much work. So I want maybe Davey and Giovanni to be the head, like in the front, and run this very, very, very careful, instead of going for the top teams.
Yeah.
What
will your title be?
It's gonna be Super Mario Kart. It's gonna be Ice Climber, and it's gonna be Excite Bike.
Is there a reason for those? This seems pretty interesting choices. Okay. Yeah, the first one got me. So I was...
No, I'm not really sure. David, you know a little bit more than I do. I think they're looking into Rainbow Six, and I think it's going to be maybe some PUBG Mobile, small titles from the beginning just to try to build it.
And your position, your title, are you going to be CEO, or what will you act as?
I don't even know, to be honest. I haven't really, like I said, sometimes I go into small depressions. I just want to see how this goes. I want to try to get that passion, and, I don't know how to explain, but I want to get the passion back before I decide what I want to do. I just want to see. I think Orbit is a very, very nice brand, and I think it deserves to be in esport. And maybe for the time being, it's easier if someone else, is taking it forward. I'm there to help out as much as I can, pitfalls and whatnot. It can be like maybe not surround, like be, maybe not, picking the wrong investors and whatever it can be. Instead, really, really talk to the people who wants to invest. And their intuitions about the brand, instead of just going for the money just because you want to build something very, very quick. It's I hope to get the passion back. I don't really have a good answer. Like, I just feel like I think Orbit deserves to be back in esport, and if people want to blame me, they can blame me. I have no, like I said, I've gone through so many things in my life, and if people want to accuse me of stuff like that, please do. And I cannot. You can never stop that. It's simple as. And if people want to try to do that, fair.
I think this is definitely a super interesting case inside of things that we don't typically hear about. I don't think anyone would have expected to hear the trials and tribulations you went through, and what it cost you as well. If I could leave you on any closing statement of any message you'd want to get across, whether it be for the future with Orbit, or whether it be with any past deals, or things that fell through, if there's anything you would like to get across, what would that be?
No, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really have a closing word. Like, it's I still believe that people are, entitled to think, and but again, maybe sometimes people are a little bit too fast to judge, and then there will always be people say, oh, it's not true, and blah blah blah, this happened, and blah blah. But again, in the end, I think everybody, this is a great disaster. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people, had this as a living. A lot of players lost a lot of money. I lost my job and also a lot of money. And, a lot of people, got hurt by this. Like, I know staff that was devastated because they've been on this, journey from Orbit to Red Reserve to, uh, from, year to year, growing, being part of the company and being part of, uh, when we did really good, and to have nothing and don't really know what's what, and that is more devastating than anything, because in the end you have to realize you're working with people, and sometimes you don't get along with people. This will always happen. Nobody can be friends with everybody. But in the end, for me, it's sad to see both a great organization as Red Reserve that was built very well, and with the players, and also with the players' achievements in Red Reserve, to see it go down the way it did. And it's even more sad that when players got sold, they got sold to a part again that didn't do right by them. So obviously there's a lot of, it's a lot of, you kind of feel like, why did it go so wrong, and why couldn't I stop it, maybe? But sometimes you don't have that power.